Welcome to God Chosen Cosmic Melodies. So, we're back for another one. I want to jump right into it. Welcome. Today, I feel called to be a bit vulnerable and share what's on my heart because it can be helpful to many other people's spiritual awakenings, whatever stage and phase you may find yourself in. As we know, in the spiritual awakening process, there's deaths, inner death of your old self, and deaths that maybe threw you into a dark night of the soul, like you experience a death outside of yourself, from family member, friend, even strangers. However it is, death affects everybody, and death is a subject that God brought me to years back, and I became obsessed with understanding it. And it's been a long journey of understanding death so far, and there's still so much more to understand. But basically, because I have experienced my own death, and have gotten the chance to be here, but also I've experienced other people's deaths, and I've experienced a lot of grieving and overcoming, that grief without anyone's help but God and our soul family. And every time I've experienced someone crossing over, that's when I was realizing more and more that they communicate with me. Anytime I've gone to a funeral and experienced someone crossing over, before they crossed over, I was informed by them that they were departing. And at the beginning, I was kind of freaked out, and I didn't know what to think of it or how to talk about it to anybody because I didn't want to be judged. But they kept on coming to communicate with me and asking me for my help. And so it was not until my sister crossed over that it really hit me like a ton of bricks. And I really started to accept and realize that I was being communicated with. Now, this might sound far out for people who are not channelers or mediums or psychic or just not tapped into their spiritual gifts yet. It might seem, like someone can't wrap their head around it because they've never experienced it before, but it is a thing. And science even, does experiments with people to try to prove these obscure invisible things that happen within us. But as we know, we're souls in a human experience, so it makes perfect sense that we can communicate with our soul family with us being souls in a human experience. The difference is that they've parted out of their human body, but they're still the same. They never left. We've always been souls in human experience, in this experience that we get to experience, but our truest form is our soul form, right? This is a temporary waking dream that we're in. And most people, if you've never experienced death of your own or someone else, most people are still just living in the 3D. I realized with death is a factor of life. There's nowhere anyone can run to escape death, and that's for a reason. It's a part of the reawakening process. When you experience someone else's death, you get shook up inside in a way that you didn't before, and it starts to make you look at life differently, question things about life differently than when you were just living in the 3D realm. But when you experience loss, your soul experiences this breaking of like, wait, so I'm not just this body. All you ever knew was being just the body in the 3D realm, right? Most people. And then it's like a life altering thing to realize that, oh yeah, you're not just this. You are a soul, okay, that is in a sense, sometimes, a lot of the times, imprisoned in this 3D realm because you're only living from the 3D realm. And so our soul family and God source energy is guiding me constantly to relate these messages to the masses, or whoever gets the chance to see my videos, to help assist people in these realizations. And my sister is number one. She's my number one, on the other side, guiding me with God. She communicates with me, and I was realizing that a lot of people might not realize that they're being communicated with by source energy and our soul family, and they don't know what to think of it, so they just kind of ignore it, kind of like I did at the beginning, because it's kind of like, is this really happening, or is it just in my head? But no, it's not just in your head. This is really happening, okay? All of us have communication with our soul family because we are souls. That is our truest form. And so remember, we are pure energy beings. So I wanted to get into my sister, rest in peace. It's her birthday today. Years ago, she was born, and she's an angel, as she always was from the moment she was born. And so she's a bright light that is within source, that is assisting me and us throughout this mass awakening that's happening. And so I've been guided to kind of share my sadness with whoever gets to watch this, because I posted something a long time ago, and it really stuck with me. It said, grief throughout the world has been mishandled, and we tend to grieve alone because we don't know how to grieve with each other. And I wrote a flow years back that really helped me through my loss, and it's called For the Loss You Didn't Mourn, because I realized that anytime people experience a loss that was someone that was not close to other people, they're not mourning the loss the way you're mourning the loss, because they were not connected the way you were connected to the person who crossed over. And so everybody is grieving, a loss that not everyone else mourned at some point in their life. We all have this in common. And so it goes, I'll say a part of it, but I won't say the whole thing. But it goes, for the loss you didn't mourn. What? How could it be when it's loss you didn't see? It's in what they meant, and we were feeling it direct. I could tell we're not the same. Maybe some regrets that's kind of making us hate all sorts of things in a moment no one ever wants to face. They can't be saved or replaced. Time lost, time spent, whatever pace you take, all our lives come to an end. Nothing is forever, yeah, that's what they say. Man, there's things we all wish we could change. Yup, we're feeling it. We feel it in this pain. Things will never be the same. No, never be the same. Why it gotta be this way? Born in this life to eventually die. The choice to be righteous or give in to sin. A thin line to figure out within. Shorten or extend your breath, fade away in health, or strengthen to fend for yourself. State of mind, weak but wise, we all have one day that we die. Death with no deadlines, dead ends that never end. Losing life in accidents, drug addiction, sickness, depression, neglect, old age. No matter what way, it's tragic, things change. It makes embrace your soul. Your memories race. All you remember is their face. You ache just to see them once again, have them back, to give them a kiss on their forehead. Inside built rage that brought the blank look in your eyes. It's lost in your heart, in thoughts, in how things went about when that person was here and then checked out. Now you're left is trying to figure out how you're going to get through this loss that you never wanted to grasp. In thoughts, the shadow, the battles to be fought in the deep dark parts, in the heart of hearts. It's going to leave a mark, a scar of a loss not everyone mourned. The feeling that you poured that went to the core, a pain not everyone lost, a loss not everyone mourned. The feeling... Sorry, 1 second. I lost my place. Lost, not everyone mourned. The feeling that you poured that went to the core. A pain no longer open anymore. The hurt is there. It just doesn't show like before. Internal tears of fears that became real. Something no one ever wants to feel. But oh dear, what I really want to say, what I really, really want to say is they're angels. They're angels. They're angels that are always near. They're angels. They're angels. They're angels that are always near. In the prayer that you pray, they're angels. They're angels. They're angels that are always near. So tap in, because they listen. When you pray, they hear you. Don't ever underestimate your power as a child of God and connecting to your soul family and connecting to source. Don't ever underestimate your power to connect to your soul family and communicate to your soul family through your gifts every single day of your life. If you have experienced someone that has crossed over and it still hurts till this day, even after years, that's okay. It's normal, in fact. And it's a lifelong journey in different stages and phases of grieving many things, internal things, external things. And it's a natural, organic process of this life. And something I wish I knew before I experienced death is how to handle grieving in a healthy way. When we are not taught how to handle spiritual awakenings and grieving, and spiritual awakenings caused by loss and grieving, they go hand in hand. Then people go in a downward spiral and don't know how to handle their emotions. They run to addiction to numb their pain from childhood, from experiencing loss of somebody's death, and that's, I feel like, a big issue in the world that has happened over time is mishandled grief, mishandled pain. And God is calling me to put a spotlight on this subject. And my sister, she's a forerunner to guiding me to maintain myself in the 5D energy while I am here. They assist me in anything and everything I do, and I feel guided to talk about. And so, by the way, guys, please respect my lyrics that I shared with you. They are copyrighted. You will get sued if you try to use any of my lyrics. that I wrote that came from my heart and soul, that I channeled from our soul family, and I was tapping into humanity's pain and how I knew and realized that I wasn't the only one experiencing grief, and this was a common theme in humans that we will all experience at one point or another in life. And God helped me understand death through experiencing death over and over. Other people's crossing over and my own deaths, my inner deaths and my external deaths, because it's a choice that I choose to, get rid of old versions that are not working and, essentially have them die and then rebirth like a phoenix time and time again throughout my life. I've done this many, many times to overcome things in the physical realm and get past illusions and veils and barriers. It's a lifelong journey. Remember, we already healed in the soul, but our humanness has trauma from other lifetimes, and it has the birth emotion trauma and then childhood trauma from this lifetime, or teenage trauma or adulthood trauma that varies for person to person, but we have this in common. And so trauma is not something we can escape. Very literally, our birth emotion trauma is something we all have, and we can't escape that pain of birth, the destruction of creation metaphor that I shared in my previous videos. None of us can escape that, but it is in all of our responsibility to heal it. This is a common theme that I've been called to continue to talk about in different angles, to encourage people to tap in, to do their inner work, their shadow work, and their inner healing process. So I find that tapping into the wholeness of your soul has been really helpful to me, to healing all these layers in the humanness throughout our energy system and the imbalances and stuff. And again, it's a lifelong journey. So just because you think you know how to heal and things, there are things outside of us that we're not always in control of. And there are things, unexpected things and painful things that can pop up in the life experience. And just because we know how to heal, it doesn't mean that we don't feel pain. We will all still feel the spectrum of emotions. Even with knowing how to heal, we still have to allow and respect the process of those emotions. So I've come to realize that it's so important to allow myself to feel my sadness when I need to feel it in a healthy way, in order for these emotions to not get trapped in my energy body and cause disease later down the line. So before, people didn't comprehend, that I'm an very emotional person, but it's the most healthiest thing about me. People would consider it and assume and judge like, oh, she's doesn't know, she's too emotional. And the thing is that I'm logically, intelligently emotional. I'm not recklessly emotional. Before, when you're younger, a lot of the times we are recklessly emotional. We just get consumed by our emotions. But once we wake up to these spiritual parts of life, we realize, the importance of doing the inner work, and you don't get consumed by your emotions, but you respect your emotions because you realize the intelligence of the emotions, and you better utilize your emotions to assist you throughout your grieving process. So you don't shun sad feelings. You don't, look down upon depression. You accept the feeling and you improve it from the inside out. And so it's a day-to-day process, guys. And so even when you think, sometimes when grieving happens and you get to a point where you feel better, and then all of a sudden you take steps back and you start to feel the emotion like it's fresh again, because your body and your soul is calling you and telling you, signaling you that there's still more healing in there to do. If that feeling is coming up, remember, we have to do these inner processes every time those feelings come up in order to get to a point where when we feel those emotions, we embrace the fact that those negative emotions are trying to assist our healing process, if we understand the importance of that process. So another thing that's really helpful throughout the life journey, the healing journey throughout life, and you remember, there's a lot of layers of healing, not just experiencing other people's deaths and loss, but there's so many different things that we could be healing inside of us. And so tapping into the wholeness of our soul to heal our humanness anytime our humanness feels broken is number one. Tapping into your connection to God's source energy. When you tap into your soul and you connect your soul connection to our oversoul, God's source energy, the healing in God, in your soul, will unlock the things blocked and trapped in your energy body from this human realm. So that's number one. And then another thing that I've been guided to share is using your gifts better. Understanding your gifts and embodying these gifts better, and not being ashamed or shy to talk about these gifts openly and utilize these gifts openly. We are coming to a point in evolution that these things are not far out to talk about. And these things are not woo-wah. It's just in your head. These are things that are actually proven, and we are very gifted, and we had God-given abilities with being energy beings living in an ocean of energy. And in quantum, everything is interconnected in the multiverse, in the quantum mechanics, in the quantum entanglement. throughout all the multiverse and the quantum field, we are able to tap in to our DNA and our light body and our God-given abilities when we do the inner shadow work, we do the inner healing, and we unlock and activate more of our spiritual gifts so that God can communicate with us, God can flow through our vessels more. And because we're an open, cleansed, balanced vessel, we're not consumed by the polarity in life. We find our equilibrium in God's source energy, and we anchor God's source energy down into the earth grid. Collectively, so everyone with bare feet connecting in a harmonious way to the earth, or even when you're not together, just by yourself, when you connect to the earth and you connect to God simultaneously at once, and you tune into your gifts, you will be guided by our higher power more often than not if you do your inner work, your shadow work, your inner healing work, and make it a point to be intentional with connecting to God and Mother Gaia simultaneously at the same time while tuning into your gifts. Then you're in a whole other vibrational state of reality. This is what I find, and this has been really helpful to me, so God guided me to share this. Our gifts. Clairsentient is a clear physical feeling. We all have these gifts, but most people have it dormant in their DNA. It's asleep. And we have these gifts to different degrees and different variations of these gifts. And so I feel that it's important for people to start to wake up and tap into these God-given abilities and God-given gifts that we all have, as for being the souls in the human experience that we are in, as the advanced soul technology of divinity that we have in us that's interconnected to everything. So let me get to it. Clairsentient is clear physical feeling. When you feel like when you feel all of a sudden like you know something, and you literally feel it, like, and there's nothing no one can tell you or do to change the fact that you know what you know. These are God-given abilities. Don't ignore that. That can save you out of a dangerous situation. That can save your life. All of my spiritual gifts have saved my life. The witches who came after me, who sent people into my life to try to sabotage me because I'm a child of God, and people who do witchcraft they use dark principalities to attack God's children, or to attack people who talk about God, who know God, who want to spread the word of God, who want to spread the wisdom of God. They came after me and tried to kill me. It's not a joke. And it's, even if that scenario doesn't happen to other people, whatever dangerous things pop up in life, you can detour your way out of the harm of dark principalities in this realm by using your gifts. And I wish I would have known all of this before my sister died, because you better believe I would have been teaching this and sharing this with her and all of my family members as I do, because God guides me to share this information. And I know what happened to my sister could have been prevented if people were taking accountability to not let dark principalities live out through them. So a lot of the times, evil people or sabotaging people are possessed by dark spirits, the dark principalities of this realm, and they inflict harm on other people, on other angelic beings. And so in order for us to not fall into the traps of the dark principalities of this realm, it's important for us to connect to source energy, wake up our soul, connect our soul to source energy, and use our gifts to prevent ourselves from being on a timeline of harm that we're not meant to be on, because the dark principalities of this realm play around with illusions, and they like to be trickster spirits and misguide people and mislead people down the wrong path to get them disconnected so that they can feed on people's souls and energy system. And it's important to constantly cleanse and protect our energy this day and age with the dark principalities running amok and trying it on this earthly plane. So tune into your clairsentient abilities. It's clear physical feeling. Claircognizant ability is clear sense. When you sense something is wrong, it's because it is. Listen to God when God is trying to let you know, or your soul family is trying to let you know you're in danger, or this is not for you, or this is for you. Whatever it is, good or bad, bad or good, they're going to tell you. If you pay attention to your gifts, you will be saved time and time again, because God, our higher power, and our soul family is protecting us in ways that we don't realize in the unseen realm. And this is why it's so important to give thanks to the protection that they give us without us realizing it, because there's a lot we don't see. The dark principalities and light and dark are fighting in principalities, but we don't see that, but it reveals itself in the physical realm when bad things happen or good things happen. And so it's important for us to partake in winning the inner battles in order for the dark principalities to not win over us in this physical realm. So clairvoyance is clear seeing. Clairaudience is inner sound, inner voice, and higher guidance. This is one of my favorite. Actually, they're all my favorite, but yeah, I'm constantly being told what to do. And like God tells me, and our soul family, our ancestors, and people who have crossed over, they told me that they needed help to break a curse. And I didn't even know what curses were before. And I mean, I know I seen it in movies or whatever that there's such a thing of that, but I didn't know to the extent of things that I know now. And um how people attack you with black magic, spiritually attack you, and unfairly, unjustly attack innocent people. Literally, that's happening in the world. A lot of people don't realize it though. And what I mean by that is like random people that know witchcraft, or even people in the government that know witchcraft that are doing it over the masses. Like Elon Musk, for sure. My soul knows that guy is a dark. He's dark. He's dark. And he's working with the dark principalities of this realm, and he for sure hypnotizes people and does some form of black magic, or has someone do it for him in order for him to have all these other people, other rich people, mesmerized and fall into his tricks and his illusions. Because if they were in their right mind and not under some form of black magic, they would literally see clear as day he's a scammer and a fraudster and a liar and a Ponzi scheme. But when people have illusions over other people, they will ignore their spiritual gifts. They will ignore God's guidance because they're under a spiritual attack, a spiritual manipulation, energy manipulation. So this is happening on a global scale, in small scale, medium scale. It's happening, okay, people? So realize that it's important to listen to your inner guidance, because if you could literally be even attacked by a stranger, okay? So, but you can know, like with your clairaudience, all of a sudden you'll get guidance to have to go and cleanse in a certain way, or do something, or be guided to somewhere to cleanse your energy body. They're constantly trying to give us higher guidance if we so choose to listen. So clairsalience is clear smelling. When you smell something and it reminds you of a crossed over loved one, and it's their form of communicating with us. Every person who experiences someone crossing over, their way of communicating with you is going to be unique and special to each individual, depending on what you experience with them in this lifetime. So if they had a specific sense of perfume, not everyone else is going to realize that correlation and how they're communicating with you through that sense. It's very unique and special to each individual. So the way my sister communicates with me or one of my other family members might be slightly different depending on how we were connected. So, like for me, when I see sunflowers, I know she's relating some sort of message to me. Or when I see certain things, I can literally feel her anytime her presence is wanting to communicate something to me. And they can communicate to us even through, like, if people are walking past having some sort of side conversation that you have nothing to do with, but somehow what you heard them talking about when they passed by was kind of a response to what you had been thinking about when you were communicating in your inner voice with source or with your soul family. They have really obscure and peculiar and unique special ways of communicating with us. And so the clear smelling one I find is really interesting. So the clear gustance is clear taste. Now, this was really random. Out of nowhere, I was tasting something of like energy. It was like tasting it in the air, in the energy, but I didn't know what the heck that was. And I was like, And I sensed, it's like I tasted a bad, it was like a heads up that bad energy was trying to come my way. And I sensed it in my taste. It was the most oddest thing I've ever experienced. And then I didn't realize that this is actually a gift. But when I looked into it, like, is there such a thing as that? And it's called clairgustance. Oh my God, you guys. We don't realize, like, we need to tap in deeper. We're having these gifts come online, and we don't even realize that we're so gifted. And so how to better understand these gifts are really important. And so, because if people are having these gifts and then they just ignore it, then hello, how is our soul family and source energy supposed to communicate deeper with you if you're ignoring these signs that you were gifted? Because all of us are. It's just a matter of activating the dormant parts of us. So the clair empathy is clear feeling. So when you have a feeling that is clear as day, you know what's wrong and what's right about a person, a situation, or yourself, it's just this invisible intelligence, God's source energy, our soul family, communicating to us through our clear empathy. Sometimes when you're so empathetic that you walk into a room and you could feel the common energy in the room, and you can kind of figure out what the heck is wrong before anybody even told you, because you have the ability of clear feeling. You clearly can feel people's energy in the room, the energy in a whole room or in a whole group or community or person, however it is. You can clearly feel what they're feeling. It's not, I know what they're feeling. Sometimes when you don't know how to use this gift, you will perceive another person's feelings as your own, but that's not your feeling, that's theirs. You just have a gift of clear empathy. You can feel feelings as if they're your own, and this is such an intense gift. I've had this my whole life. I didn't realize it though, but I've always been really energetically sensitive, a crybaby. And a lot of the times I'm like, why am I even feeling this? I don't understand, because I was picking up somebody else's feelings and taking them on as my own. And the thing is, it's so gifted. It's such a beautiful gift, because with this gift you're able to, when people have a hard time describing their feelings or experiencing their feelings, you are able to soothe people in a way that if you are not tapped into this gift, you would have a hard time soothing another person, because you don't understand what they feel. But when you tap into this gift, you have this gift and you embody this gift, you can differentiate what's yours and what's not yours. And when you know that it's not yours, but you also know how the person is feeling deeply, you can better assist the person, as opposed to if you didn't understand what they were feeling. But you do, because your clear empathy abilities. And so with that gift, it's really important to know what's yours and what's not on a constant basis. I always have to I even say out loud, that's not mine. That is not mine. Not mine. I course correct myself and I check myself and I call myself out, because sometimes, I'm a little too clear and empathic that I will feel bad for even people who did me wrong. And it's like, that's not my place. All right. What they did wrong, they have to go through the consequences to learn from their mistakes. Okay. I'm not going to feel bad for someone who did me wrong. Okay. Of course I want healing and growth for them no matter what, but no, that's not my responsibility to feel those things. Okay. So you have to remember to not have your gifts be, hurting you, because you don't know how to categorize your gifts, or compartmentalize your gifts and what's yours and what's not yours when you're using your gifts. So the clear tangency is knowing by touch. And my sibling has this one. And I started to realize, like, oh my God, the more you come online, the more you're going to tap into these different gifts. So when you touch something, all of a sudden you'll get like a high speed, like God speed, like of information that's connected to that item. If someone previously owned it, what that person went through, the previous owner, sometimes when you go to like a Goodwill or something was given to you and that item was from someone who has already crossed over and it has certain energy on it already. If you know, you know. And so shout out to CL, I remember experiencing my sibling. So it was the most peculiar thing. It was quite interesting. So we were on a trip and we had stopped at this random place and we were like, oh my God, what's with that house? Something weird about that house. It was like this off-road, because we take the path less traveled and the scenic route. And then this background road, it was like kind of really scary, but we were more interested than scared. And we were looking out for each other. So we're like, let's go and see what's up with that house. It had like a bunch of, it was very peculiar. And we walked up towards it and we just picked up an energy of like, oh my God, something bad happened here before for sure. Like we didn't even need nobody to tell us. And it wasn't just because we wanted to think that or assume that. It was based on, because we didn't feel that when we initially walked up to the house. We were just interested in what it looked like out of fun. And as we approached it, we picked up this heavy energy of like something traumatic happened here before. And then my sibling touched the house and it was like, you can see there was like this data being like reading the data of the house. And come to see when we went more into the house, the way the inside of the abandoned house looked, it did start to connect in our minds of like, yeah, something not good happened here. And with that being said, we just didn't want to go stay in the dangerous energy. So we're like, let's get the heck out of here. We're like, let's go. We ran out. We're like, whoo, it was fun. But then it got scary. And then we picked up all that energy and we're like, yeah, no, whatever bad happened here, I don't want that bad thing to happen to me either. So we got to go. Anyways, yeah, it's really interesting. Like, so we looked at each other and we just thought that was the most craziest thing ever. And we're like, we didn't know what to make of it, but we knew what we felt and we knew what we experienced. And when my sibling had told their partner at the time, their partner looked at us crazy because they're like, what? Again, so this is what I realized. Even people who are, not spiritually inclined, they might perceive it as crazy, but even they will start to question, like, is that something that is real? Can that be true? Yes, it's true. We all have these gifts, but to different degrees. And a lot of the times, like for us, we have that gift, but we didn't realize that it was coming online in that experience, that we were realizing, oh my God, we could pick up the energy of an establishment or an area. And it informs us of things if you pay attention. And so, yeah, life gets all that much more interesting when you really tap in and get aligned with your spiritual gifts, your God-given abilities, and your God-given gifts, and listen to the guidance of God, source energy, and our soul family. So with that being said, my sister, she's crossed over. It's her birthday today, and it's a really special day, but it's also really sad. And as I know from practicing what I learn and share with people, that two emotions can exist at the same time, sadness and happiness. I am happy because she's with me, she communicates with me at all times, and she guides me and protects me. God, source energy, protects me and guides me within. My sister is within source energy, and our whole soul family is within source energy. And so that's why it's so important when we connect to source, we're connecting to our soul family too. And it's really important to make it a priority. If you've never experienced someone crossing over, you will at some point. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but I mean it in the way that this is an organic part of life. It is a sad part of life, but it is natural for people to start to reawaken to the truth of who they are. When you experience death, you get shook inside. You experience a dark night of the soul because your life is never the same. And if you've never experienced loss, before you experience loss, it's probably best that you see a video like this to prepare you. Because I remember I was younger and I was so happy working one time, and this guy would constantly, he was a book writer, and he would constantly come and see me at work. And he would tell me that I was always in the flow state and how beautiful it was, and if I even understood what was the flow state. And he had wrote a book about emotional therapy, and he was like, have you ever experienced loss before? And I was like, no. I mean, yeah, because I had crossed over myself, but not back-to-back losses of other people, not yet at that point. And he was like, well, at some point you will, and then this book will be helpful to you. I want to give it to you for free because I love your energy and how you are every day. And once you experience grief, you will change, and this book will help you gain back who you are now, the happiness that I see you exude. And I'm like, thank you, oh my god, I really appreciate that. And the book stood with me. I never really read it, and then I started to experience loss back to back, and my whole world was shook. I was never the same. I fell into a really bad spiral of grief, and I didn't know how to grieve. And then I remember when I moved one time, I ran into the book that he gave me, and that is just such a blessing. God works through all of us to help each other. And I remember him saying that to me, that at one point I would experience it and that book would be helpful. And guess what? It was really helpful to me. It was like my own therapist in a book. And I just live to pass that favor forward, because little did I know, I had no idea, And so this is for the people who never experienced loss before. Just know at some point it will happen, and it's not something to be scared of. Of course, it will be sad. Sorry, guys. I mean, I don't know why I'm apologizing for my emotions. I gotta stop doing that. So this is me passing it forward and sharing in this video that if you've experienced loss, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't experienced loss yet, when you do, just remember the importance of connecting to source energy, and your soul family is within connecting to source energy. And that will be really helpful to any sort of heartbreak moment. And I know that for a fact. So God, so I was looking through like the things that you save on Instagram, and I have it kind of like a vision board of, it's like, I call it my spiritual vision board of things that are like unfolding in my life and things that I feel. And so pictures that I really resonate with. And so heaven is now. Every moment in the now, heaven is now. And so this is really important to realize, especially when we're experiencing any stage and phase of grief and we feel sad, and sometimes we get consumed by those low vibrational feelings and thoughts. But we have to remember, we are the master behind our emotions and thoughts. We are not them. We are the master. And so with that being said, we're able to cultivate a version of heaven even through grieving times. And so there's much more of this evolution than we were taught. This meme is really important. As above, so below. There's so much more than we were taught, and it's important that we wake up to the realizations of our deeper truth, so that we're not trapped in our emotions. Because remember, the Plato's cave is like a metaphor to the Matrix. When you're only living in the 3D realm, in the Matrix, essentially you're stuck in a cave. Because then in the cave, in the Plato's cave, which is the Matrix, you get consumed by your thoughts and your feelings, and it keeps you trapped. But when you free yourself from your thoughts and your feelings, and you realize that you are the master that is way above and past this Matrix, that is not trapped in the Matrix. The master in you is not trapped in Plato's cave. The master in you is not trapped in this Matrix. The master in you can observe your emotions and your thoughts and not succumb to them. The master in you can shift your emotions and your thoughts to evolve yourself. And this is what our soul family tells me to relate to the masses. This is what source energy tells, the message that God has put in my heart today. Your reality is not what you think it is. It is not what you think it is. We are not just humans. We never were and we never will be. We're not just in this physical realm. We are highly advanced souls in a physical form from source energy. We are co-creators of the creator. That being said, it's 11:11, people. 11:11, not for nothing. Really symbolic. I don't know if you've seen the time. 11:11, right in the corner. I'm on point right now, okay? The universe is in sync with me and I'm in sync with the universe. This is the thing. So when we experience loss of people from addiction, God is calling me to talk on this. Like I wrote in my flow, is losing life in accidents, drug addiction, sickness, depression, neglect, old age. No matter what way, it's tragic. Things change. So people are going through these common themes that can lead people into their death, natural or unnatural. And a lot of the times we don't realize that the addiction throughout the world is because of the fact that is a lack of self-love, because of being neglected as a child or abused or just not shown affection as a child. So from dealing with the pain of birth to dealing with childhood traumas of being neglected or abused or not shown enough love and care, it causes people to turn to addiction. And all of us on the planet have this in common and are susceptible to falling into this because of pain. And the high rate of addiction and alcoholism is due to this unresolved pain in our energy body on a collective level. And so this post stood out to me. People think addicts love drugs. That's wrong. Addicts love anything that drowns out the fact that they don't love themselves. And why? It's because the unhealed birth pain and then the unhealed childhood trauma, including trauma from previous lifetimes. But we're just talking about this lifetime. People are all of us have this in common. And so a lot of the cure of the world truly is to get more people into therapy, off of prescription drugs, into therapy, into this self-love trend, into this that spirituality is for everybody trend. Healing is for everybody. You don't need to be spiritual to realize the importance of healing so that you won't fall into a lower vibrational timeline that dark principalities of this realm would prefer that you fall into. Because of your pain, you run to addiction or alcoholism, and the dark principalities have a hold over you because you're not choosing to do the inner shadow work or the inner healing to free yourself out of Plato's cave, out of the matrix, to free yourself out of just living in the human realm, but live from the soul place of who you truly are, the soul liberation that is meant for you in this physical form. But we won't achieve that liberation if we don't do the inner work and tap into the wholeness of who we truly are within the brokenness of the human experience. This is so important. It's really so important. And God and my sister, my God, I cry a million tears because I love God so much. And I love my sister and I love our soul family and I love humanity. And I just I love life. I love everything and I want everyone to heal. Even the worst of the worst people in this world, what happened to each bad person in the world, why they turned into a bad person, was most likely unfair. Bad people are pained people who have been hurt and never knew how to handle their emotions of pain, and they just continue to project it outwardly onto other people, and then it's just a pattern of toxicity throughout humanity because of unmanaged pain, unmanaged trauma, unmanaged grieving, mishandled grieving. This is what God has put in my heart, and not for nothing. And I also realized this within my personal experience of falling into victimization every time I grieved the loss and felt like no one understands my pain. I started to wake up to the realization that all of us fall into victimization when we experience loss. It's a common thing, unless we shake ourselves up and realize that we were never victims, never in our life. But it was a matter of perception because we were too consumed in the physical realm, too consumed in the thoughts and emotions of the physical realm. And we fell for the illusion that we were victims, but we are not. No matter what, okay? And so this is what I want for the whole world and for my family and everything that exists in this world, to experience the love of God in its most purest form, the love of our soul family. Because when you love, you want others to feel free. And so my mission here, part of my mission, is to help souls be freed, help them feel free within this human experience before you even go cross over and say, finally I could be free in heaven. No, you can experience heaven on earth here and now. This is what God tells me. This is what we're called to do, to rise up to the God frequency, to the fifth dimension frequency. So like I was saying yesterday, this came to me last night too, again, when I was thinking deeper. Remember, the earth right here has a grid around it and there's a vortex. And this is why our soul family and our ancestors keep coming to me and they're asking me to help spread this awareness so that we can all be talking on this and putting a light on this, to shine a light on the dark principalities that are trying to keep our souls enslaved and trapped in this realm. So, you know, as above, so below, right? And we're in the point of evolution where it's meant to become one, back into the God frequency, and the earth is not fallen with fallen angels. We're meant to win the battle over the dark principalities of this realm in order to free the ancestors. And when we free the ancestors, we free ourselves. When we free ourselves, we free the ancestors. And so the going into the eternal life, so they change the frequency of the grid. We know instead of 432 hertz, which is meant to be in the God 369, 432 hertz, and God frequency, in the better frequency and harmonious frequency, but they hijacked the planet. They invaded it. They hijacked humans on the planet and use humans to destroy other humans and the planet, which is a Earthship, which is a portal from other. So they come from other parts of the solar system and they come to this earthly plane and they mess around with it and they try to play as God. And as we know, the advanced technology we have today, the inspiration to that technology comes from what God has created. They replicate God's creation, and you see it in the form of advanced technology. And this is a part of the 666 satanic dark hidden new world dark hidden agenda that they have of basically trying to play God. This has happened so many times in history. I feel like I was there. Okay, I know. I've been through this like enough times to know. And like, what I mean by that is metaphorically. I feel my soul feels like I've already gone through this and I already know what's up. And God is telling me, okay, you know, this time, this is it. We're not doing this again. Dark principalities, you already know what's up. God is here and no one can ever overpower God and the God frequency and God's intelligence. They could try to replicate it. Satanic, whatever agendas can try to play God, but they'll never be God. That's a fact. So remember, tune in to your ability to communicate with our soul family and do your part in helping free our ancestors, free the earth first and foremost, because they hijacked the earth grid through the landlines, through the star gates. This is why if you see in this picture, there's the earth is a portal. If you look onto my page, I show in my page there's an electromagnetic field that the earth has. And you know, when you have an electromagnetic field, you have a vortex field, and in that vortex is your portal. And so with that being said, we are portals to the divine to upgrade the portal that we're living on. We're living on a transmitter, and we are transmitters. And so we can transmit God's frequency into the transmitter that we live on. And then we raise the frequency of literally everything in existence. Quantum healing, quantum uplifting, quantum speed, really. Like this is how interconnected and gifted every single one of us is. And this is what people in secret societies don't want the masses to realize, how we literally have the power to free the earth, the whole grid system. We have the power to free ourselves from the inside out. Of course, it's one step at a time. It's not going to happen right away, but it can happen sooner than later. The more of us get on board with this insightful information, embody it, and spread this information as much as possible. Even if you think you know it and you're in a community of people who know it already, it doesn't matter. There's many other people in the world who still don't know. And that's why there's so many of us who do know that need to keep talking about this non-stop throughout everything, anything, okay? Because it really does make a difference to assist many other souls that still don't know, okay? Because as we know, the younger generation, we always have the younger generation, and the younger generation, they have to go through the stages and phases where they're not going to know, and that's natural, okay? But it is coming to a time where the younger generation is starting to wake up sooner. And so we need a lot of us spiritual healers and guides to pay attention to and realize the importance of spreading this awareness to the younger generation so that they are not preyed on by the dark principalities. Because I feel like if I would have known this sooner, I could have helped shift my sister to another timeline so she wasn't preyed on by dark principalities of this realm, using other people to doom other people. So please, if you know someone that is having a hard time with their spiritual awakening, send them this video. Or if they're going through a hard time with grieving, send them this video. And remember, don't resist your awakening. This is a beautiful part of life. In fact, if we learn how to better understand what's really happening, because when I was experiencing my soul awakening, I was clueless. I was like, what is happening to my life? What is happening? Oh my God. It was the worst, okay? Because it was not pleasant, all right? It was really an actual ugly dark night of the soul. When I look back at it now, I see it as beautiful though, but I had no clue what I was doing. I listened to God's guidance, and I succumbed to a dark night of the soul. But then through the breaking, I had a breakthrough. So I broke down to breakthrough, and now I'm able to, from the other side and a different vantage point, I'm able to understand and explain these things to other people so that their awakening doesn't have to be as brutal, okay? Because when you're aware of what's happening, that's helpful, okay? As opposed to if you're experiencing a dark night of the soul and you have no idea what's happening, It's brutal, I tell you. But when you have people like me being compassionate to other people's spiritual awakening and spreading this information because you know it's really important to other people's awakening, it assists humanity to not experience such a dark night of the soul. It doesn't have to be so dark when you're aware of what's happening and you do your part to embrace the spiritual awakening that is unfolding in your life right now. Whether that's because it got triggered from losing a person, losing something in your life, getting rid of the old version of you, whatever it is. So I feel guided to talk about this part of the book on waking up in 5D. So confirmation of your connection. As you become more and more attuned to your body, you will notice sensations that confirm your consistent connection with the fifth dimension. You will also experience aches and pains of your body, seeking to eliminate anything that could hold you back, like the old versions of yourself that can't go along with you to this new frequency. You have to accept what's happening and embrace what's happening. Your body is trying to eliminate old versions of yourself so that you can rise up to your higher self. And your body will give you signs left and right. You will have night sweats, waking up after 3 hours of sleep, strange food cravings, changing the way you eat, having a craving for healthier food, feeling irritability because you're resisting doing the clearing work. When you resist your awakening, you will feel irritable and anxiety because you need to do clearing work. It's a process where you cast out unwanted energies or disembodied spirits that do not belong in your body. Now, like I said in my previous videos, witchcraft is a thing, spiritual attacks are a thing, and even if you're not being spiritually attacked, there are foreign spirits that will attempt to enter you so that you can house them. And so it's important that you constantly cleanse and protect, do clearing work to cast out unwanted energies or disembodied spirits. Okay, remember, we are souls in human form, and sometimes foreign spirits, disembodied spirits latch onto our auric field and try to possess us. This is a real thing. It's not just something like a horror, scary film. It's a real life thing. Dark principalities in this realm prey on people's energy system and soul, and they try to hijack us if we are not realizing the importance of doing our clearing work while experiencing a dark night of the soul or a different stage and phase of your reawakening process. We need to be doing clearing work our whole lives, really. And then another thing, symptom is repeated patterns keep surfacing. This means it's time to do something about it. Seek learning tools that will help you eliminate the whatever's holding you back energetically. That comes from the past issues along with emotional blockages and external energies. When you are experiencing a dark night of the soul or a different stage and phase of the reawakening, you are also going to be facing the fact that you need to do the clearing work to eliminate emotional blockages and external energies from the collective consciousness of things unfolding in the current times. So another symptom is feeling spacey or out of it. First, make sure nothing is wrong with you. See a doctor or visit the emergency room. And if once you do that and everything's well, you may need to just ground and do your clearing work. So, it's important to understand to handle the uncomfortable symptoms in a healthy way so that you don't experience a traumatic dark night of the soul. You handle these symptoms in a conscious way, in a progressive way. And so sometimes, a lot of the times when it gets to painful parts of the awakening, this is a technique that we can do to alleviate the painful awakening. So if you are in physical pain, recite the mantra, does it have to hurt, over and over again until the pain abates or subsides. It may be incomprehensible to you that your angels and guides do not know how much pain you are in, but they don't. They are not in a body. They experience the bliss of God's connection so continually that for them to feel your pain would be excruciating. Your mantra, does it have to hurt, actually assist them in calibrating with you so your symptoms can be lessened to the degree of tolerance. This has been really helpful to me. I constantly ask God, please, does it have to hurt? The beginning of my awakenings were so unbearable. I literally wanted to die because it was so excruciating. And I know that sounds dramatic, but like, it was dramatic, okay? I'm not even going to lessen the blow. It really was. And because no one understood what was happening to me. They're like, what the heck is happening? She's going crazy. And I'm like, yeah, it was a maddening thing because I had already been waking up to the spiritual side of life. And then the way that I experienced back to back to back traumatic, they were just really big blows. And like, I don't want anyone to ever experience that kind of trauma that I experienced in my spiritual awakening. And so God has put it in my heart to share these tools with other people so that your spiritual awakening does not have to be traumatic. and you can embrace it sooner than later. So then I jumped to the part, God guided me to the part where when you're in that moment where it feels like it's hurting, and then you alleviate it by connecting to God and asking, does it have to hurt? God, fill my heart up. And you know, there's a lot of different ways of praying about it. But basically, it's calling you to tap into to become your own inner healer. And that's the irony of life, is that when you learn how to heal your own wounds, you will then be able to be a healer for other people. But if you don't even know how to heal your own wounds, how are you ever going to heal anything in life if you don't know how to heal your own inner wounds? So the irony is that pain is the natural part of life, and it is meant for you to heal. And the sooner that you get skilled at healing, the better off we will all be. So throughout the healing process, we experience the polarity, but it does get to a point in life where we no longer have to experience the extremes of polarity, because we are coming back to the God frequency. The upside down version of Earth is coming back into God's ownership, into the God frequency. And so therefore it's a 5D realm, fifth dimensional realm. When you are in 5D, there is no free will. This is far out concept that I know throughout humanity, little by little, people are starting to come online to this concept, and how really realistic this actually is, because this is actually how it was before Satan became Satan and Adam and Eve did what they did. We were already in heaven realms, and then got casted out of heaven into the earth to fend for ourselves. And then polarity, we experience polarity, but we're meant to come back to the heaven frequency while in physical form. God is redeeming God's creation. And so we better get with it, or we're going to experience a lot of unnecessary pain. And it doesn't have to be that way when God is here for us and with us throughout the battles we need to overcome against the dark principalities of this realm. And so what could this mean? In 3D, you have the 5D choice or the not God choice, which is polarity. The not God choice is the equivalent of making mistakes or sins, right? And then the God choice is by choosing a choice of integrity. So the free will zone isn't needed anymore, because 5D, you only want a God choice, a choice of integrity, because anything outside of integrity is a painful experience, because you're then in polarity. If you are not in integrity, you are in polarity, which is a lower vibration, the old paradigm of existing. That is, polarity is now the old paradigm, the old normal. That was normalized for that part of evolution. It's no longer normal for people to constantly feel the need to be like a pendulum in polarity constantly, when we've come to the point of evolution to be in our equilibrium, living from our soul knowing. And it's a point of maturity exists at 5D, because God choice is so attractive that you don't need the 10 commandments. It wouldn't occur to you to steal, lie, or covet, because you don't want to be that. You choose to not be that. Even if those situations and people are presented to you, you still choose to not be that and perceive life through the God frequency. Your God love would be so pervasive that it would please you to immensely to make a God choice. Please you immensely to make God choice. When you are faced with a decision that society might say is ethically challenging, you intuitively dismiss any not God choice. Intuitively, organically, naturally, instantly. You intuitively dismiss a not God choice. Take the example of meeting someone you really are attracted to and then discover he or she is married. The idea of being involved just doesn't come up, because you know that's out of integrity, and you don't want to be out of integrity, because anything outside of integrity is a painful experience. Polarity brings pain. And the irony with polarity, it assists us in evolution, but we've gotten to the point of evolution. This is what God puts in my heart. In the golden age that we've entered is that we don't need the excuse of polarity to be sinners. Okay. We know better by now. You don't need polarity to evolve necessarily anymore, when you know what's right and wrong, and you know that choosing the God choice frequency is what's meant for your soul and for each other and humanity and the planet at large. And so for people who think this concept is too far out, it will take time to adjust, and that's fine, because I feel like initially people would be like, well, that would be hard to only choose the God frequency because polarity is so normalized. But we're getting to the point where what I've come to understand is that it's not hard at all. It's a matter of perception. It's not hard at all. It's a matter of perception and realizing that you don't need to go through polarity to evolve. Okay? Because you're sitting in the driver's seat. You're sitting in the driver's seat in your soul while you're in the physical form, and you know that you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, you're not this polarity that we experience in this lifetime. You are a pure soul from God's source energy. That means innately, it is very innate for us to want to choose the God choice frequency, because we come from God's source frequency. And so the more of us wake up and become online to this frequency and anchor this frequency into the Earth's grid, it is going to accelerate evolution. So you are so connected to God that you only desire a God choice. Only an expression of love is possible when you choose the God frequency. We also have the full support of the Ascended Masters, the entire angelic realm, the Great White Brotherhood, and God's source energy and sisterhood. So our whole soul family, the whole quantum, everything, all light and love, benevolent beings. But for me, light and love, benevolent beings, soul family, ascended masters are all one in source. So when I say source, it's all encompassing. I don't really go through the branches. I just go straight to the source. Okay. So we also have the full support of them, God's source energy, at all times. And God's presence has moved directly into the region of reality. God is everywhere at all times. Omnipotent, omnipresence. God is never not here. God is always here every second of every millisecond. And so it is an awesome presence that it's up to you to tune into. It will make it so much easier to be who you really are when you tune into this truth. It will God's love and nurturing will help you feel safe and able to be your best self, even through the worst times ever. When you tune into God's love and nurturing and guidance and protection, God will help you feel safe and able to be your higher self, because you're doing your part and your inner work to have that intimacy with source energy. We can't go throughout this life without being intimate and intentionally connecting to source energy, because if you don't, you will be preyed on by the dark principalities of this realm. So save yourself, why don't you? Because it is in your power to do that, to save yourself by tuning into source and God's source energy, invisible intelligence of all that is, Alpha and Omega and everything in between. God in your heart, tune in, because that's the only thing that is going to save us in the times we're living in today. I guarantee you that. Nothing in this realm can save your soul the way source can save you and guide you and protect you and counsel you. And so remember, your emotions carry the key throughout this process. This is the irony of this whole thing. Your emotions are what makes you uniquely human. So don't try to become a robot. Don't try to become numb throughout the pain of this life. If you're experiencing any sort of loss or grief, don't try to numb yourself. Don't try to run away from your emotions. Don't try to be transhuman. Don't try to ignore and spiritual bypass, okay? Because it is in our best interest to realize that our emotions are what make us uniquely human. Our emotions is what makes this life so beautiful. But our emotions have been mishandled. Our pain has been mishandled. It's when we restore the foundations of our inner world, we realize that our emotions make us uniquely human and precious. And on this planet, emotions are a significant part of the experience of life. Emotions are chi energy that has been imbued with a purpose. Although mental prowess may make you feel superior, in truth, your use of emotions can help you achieve more than your mind can. This is why it's so important to not numb your emotions with drugs or alcohol and realize the intelligence of your emotions. Your emotions are the key to the world around you. They read the field for you faster than your brain, faster and more accurately than your brain. Your emotional body reads the emotional bodies of those around you and signals when you are unsafe or loved or cherished or feared, and so on. Think of the phrases, I had a sinking feeling in my gut, or my heart leaped for joy. Those phrases are keys that can hold you back or move you forward. You see how very accurate your emotions are and how useful they can be to understand the reality around you and even yourself, your own inner world. Contrary to popular thinking, the dimensions are nested inside each other. From any point within the dimension, you can see into lower dimensions. This is why when you become the master of your emotions, you have a different vantage point of your spiritual awakening and your spiritual growth. At each acquired level of discernment, you then have the capacity to observe the lower vibrational ones. This is why you don't necessarily notice when you are in fourth dimension, because third dimension is so close and so real. You concurrently experiencing both. You're simultaneously experiencing both. The lower dimensions are not lesser, like fewer dollars, but lower as in vibration, as pitch can be higher or lower in music. Which pitch is better? Hopefully the answer is obvious. None. They are all important. Each serves a purpose. Thus, you become more fifth dimensional when you are able to see and understand the polarity in both fourth, third, and without experiencing an emotional charge. You observe without judgment. As you gain mastery of experiencing your emotions, then step back away from it. As the observer, you can notice your emotions. As the observer, you can choose to approach polarity experiences with compassion, which will allow you to instantly become fifth dimensional. When you experience your emotions with compassion, and if you're experiencing anger, sadness, depression, and you realize, you observe the emotion and you learn what you need to learn from it, you realize the intelligence of it, and you respect and honor the emotion, you approach polarity experiences with compassion, it will make you instantly become fifth dimensional. As you integrate third and fifth dimensional experiences, you will have a unique, powerful mastery of your emotions. This means when someone does something to hurt you, first you feel the pain. Then you notice your actions and your feelings about their actions. You may or may not have reactions All this is done without judging. You may even experience a blow to your heart when someone close to you does something shocking or hurtful, and it causes you to feel pain because you have expectations that aren't being met. These experiences may be honest, real, fair, or not. And expectations between close associates are a normal part of these relationships. Learn to understand your own expectations so that when someone does let you down, you can move quickly through your disappointment and pain and understanding your part of the drama. A blow to the heart is a rocket fuel to your ascension work. It is one key to becoming fifth dimensional. So that is the irony of the spiritual awakening, is that painful experiences can actually fuel your ascension work if you better utilize your spectrum of emotions and realize the importance in them. So as you incorporate your fifth dimensional self into who you are, your emotions are just as important as they were before. Your emotions have always been important. You just didn't realize it. Most of us don't realize that those low vibrational emotions are also important for our ascension process. And so, in fact, they are more so. The difference is that you don't have to need to rework them or overwork them. Instead, you can look upon the emotions as a vehicle for expanding your awareness of expression, experience, and feelings. Your emotions give you a full connection to your heart if you allow it. Your emotions can magnify your state of high or low. This gives you the greatest possible opportunity to unify your fifth dimensional self with your third dimensional self. So this is really vital to comprehend because we're oscillating. The earth is oscillating between third and fifth. It's trying to better adjust and become more stable. So therefore, everybody's energetic field on this planet is also experiencing similar thing where we're oscillating, and most people are unaware of like, oh my God, what the heck is happening? Because they're experiencing this part of their awakening, and their energy body is trying to find its balance in the unification of our fifth dimensional light body and our physical form in the third density that we're in. And so misuse and control of emotions. Your emotions can only react once, but your mind can return to that emotion, causing you to suffer by replaying a scenario. I mentioned this earlier in the video, how when you get past a point of grief and then you think of something and then the feeling comes back. So it causes you to suffer by replaying a scenario, reinvigorating the emotion and causing any pain and suffering to be felt over and over again, because we're not realizing the importance of being the master behind our emotions and thoughts. It's like picking at a wound that is trying to heal. Why not use your happy emotions to make magic? You don't need to be doing black magic to solve your problems in life. You need to do inner healing work. It's all the witches out there that try to come for me. So what if you chose to do the inner work instead of attack other people, project onto other people, and point fingers at other people in situations? So it's like picking at a wound that is trying to heal. Why not use your happy emotions to make magic? Instead of perpetuating your trauma and your pain, you can literally choose happy emotions to make magic out of your depression. What if you couldn't replay some difficult experiences? What if your memory could only produce data and not replays of emotions? Stop replaying your emotions and stop replaying those old thoughts. It is a known fact amongst those who would hold you back that humanity's emotions are powerful tools to create reality. Oh my God, I love how this book words this. The people in the government, the elite people in secret societies that would want to hold humanity back, they don't want us to embody these things, to realize these things, because then they'll have control over people's souls and energy bodies the way that they want to maintain control over us. But when we unlock these things, it is a known fact amongst those who would hold us back that humanity's emotions are powerful tools to create reality. This is what they know in secret societies. Our emotions are a powerful tool to turn any dark time into a better time. And so, and to gain the most growth through it all. When you maintain your state of compassion, all of the feelings of anger, rage, disappointment, and fear can be used to manipulate you. When you maintain your state of compassion, you cannot be manipulated, people. This is key to free all the souls in humanity all around the world. You cannot be used for fuel in ways that you may not understand yet. When you choose to maintain your state of compassion throughout becoming more fifth dimensional in your light body, as your light body is rising in frequency in your 3D body, remember, all of the feelings of rage, anger, disappointment, and fear are manipulative emotions. If we don't utilize those emotions to the best of our ability, if we acknowledge those emotions, don't act out in those emotions, observe them and purge them, and maintain a state of compassion, then they can't feed on us. Secret societies that do the energy manipulation can't feed on us when we all wake up to this truth. So your emotions can only react once, but your mind can rerun the emotion. So stop yourself in your tracks when you find yourself repeating ill thoughts and ill feelings that do not help your inner environment. They do not even help your evolution, okay? It's making you stuck because you're not realizing that you're literally perpetuating old pain that you don't need to keep reliving. Instead, focus on the transformative part, to acknowledge the emotion and transform it. That is in your power every second of every single day. The emotions that hold us back are resentment, fear, whining, and self-righteous and denial. So please don't deny yourself of shadow work and healing. Don't deny yourself, and choose to do your shadow work and choose to do your inner healing sooner than later, so that you can experience a more harmonious state throughout the energetic turbulence and the energetic changes happening worldwide. Tune in, tap in, get aligned, people, because nobody else is going to do it for us. We all need to do this inner work for ourselves in order for us to experience the God frequency more often than not, in order for us to experience a version of heaven on earth, and you know, spread this frequency amongst each other, because we're doing this inner work and we're infusing this frequency into the earth grid, because God is trying to work through every single one of us. We all just need to get on board with Ascension and Ascension Express. Hop on the train if you want to come along on the journey with me. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the bell, because you know it helps this video reach many other people. And oh wait, not the bell. Click like. Well, actually do all of them, because it helps the video and the channel. I'm building up the channel, as you can see, and you can be a part of this journey. And simply by, it's literally free to subscribe. It's literally free to click like, and it's literally free to ring the bell and tune into my videos, because my videos will most certainly enlighten you and assist in empowering you and giving guidance from God source energy. And even without getting guidance from outside of you, tune into your listening heart, because God is trying to give you guidance directly into your heart. Also using other people to transmit messages to you, like God is using me now to transmit this message. All of us are transmitters. So listen to God, because God is trying to speak through you too. God is trying to heal you and utilize you to help heal many others, so that we can free ourselves from the inside out. So remember to pray for your possessions, your goals, your pets, your family, your friends, humanity, and the planet at large. Because as we know, our prayers make a difference, and the power of prayer is extremely underestimated. And we need to bring this prayer trend back mainstream. We need to have more people around the world making it a point to be intentional with your prayer life, and realizing that your prayers do make a difference in shifting your inner world, each other's inner world, and world events for the better. That's literally how powerful our prayers are. Literally, okay? So stop underestimating your prayer life and tap in, tune in, get aligned with source energy, and I will talk to you all in my next video.